Father, sooner the better.
Ever wanted to know what happened after the opening of the first Annabelle film? Well, here's your answer. Annabelle comes home, follows the Warren's daughter Judy, played by McKenna Grace, getting babysat by two girls, and after one of the girls does what any smart person would do, goes down to the Warren's locker room of horrors and unleashes the horror that would then make good things bump in the night. When this movie first came out, I was really nervous for it, because even though we were coming off a strong Annabelle film, the trailers for it made it seem like it was going to be The Conjuring 2.0, because the Warrens, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, were heavily marketed. I did not want them to be a central point in this film. I really wanted this to be a Annabelle film, and I am so happy that it was. The movie is directed by Gary Dauberman, who wrote all three Annabelle films up to this point, and he also wrote The Nuns, so his track record had been hit and miss, to put it kindly, and seeing how this is his first time in the director's chair, that kinda had me a little bit worried, but I really came out enjoying it for what it is, especially when we get into the haunted artifacts room that the Warrens have. You have a Penny for Eyes demon, a werewolf, the TV from Spaceballs, and of course the Annabelle doll. So points on it for trying to be creative. I also like the cinematography for this movie. I think the cinematography for every single film in this Conjuring universe has actually looked pretty good, even from the bad ones. There's just an aesthetic to it, and as long as you're able to have a creepy atmosphere, I think you do deserve points for that. And for a majority of this movie, it is beautiful to look at. I also really enjoy McKenna Grace as Judy in this movie. This was a point in her life where she was starting to blow up a little bit by playing the younger versions of characters, like she was the young Carol Danvers in Captain Marvel, she was the young Tanya Harding, she was also coming off the heels of Gifted, and so she had it really made at the time that this movie was released, and she absolutely killed it. Even though I had my reservations when she was casted, because I was a little bit bummed that they recasted her from the daughter that they have in the first two films. She was showing how strong of an actor she was at that point in time, and even nowadays you can see her developing and growing as an actor, and she was just holding her own. When she needed to be frightened, she was frightened, and she convinced you of that, especially when all the spiritual things start to happen in the inside the house, but also the moments when she's in school before things start go bump in the night. You do feel bad for her when she starts to get bullied in school because of who her parents are, and also how people don't want to go to her birthday party. You do feel for her, and there are moments in here where they do start to pull the heartstrings a little bit more, especially with one of the characters in this movie. The bones for a great movie were in here, but rewatching it for the first time since I saw it in theaters, I knew people did not like this movie, and I never really got the hate for it because I really enjoyed it when it first came out. I thought it was creepy, it was a lot of fun for what it was. And then rewatching it now for the first time in 6 years, I can see why people were really not happy with this movie. What I didn't notice the first time that I watched this is just how dumb of characters the other two girls are. One of them is played by Madison Iceman, and the other is played by Katie Seraphy. I do apologize if I butchered the last name, but while they do the best with the material that they are given, I get where one of the characters is coming from, especially with Katie, where she had lost her dad and she is trying to connect with him, trying to make sure that he knows that it wasn't her fault, and she still blames herself for the incident that happened. I get what they were trying to go for with her character, and I do think that the way that they wrapped her character up was very heartfelt. Those were the moments I kind of wish were in the other Conjuring films, and something that I really hadn't felt since The Conjuring 2. It's just the way that she goes about it that just makes you want to pull your hair out, because she sees all the red flags. She just does not give a shit about anything. She goes about it in the most cliched way, where even though she can read at a 5th grade level, she ignores every single red flags there is on the doors. That whole locker room of terror room is filled with do not touch, do not open, do not go in here, and she ignores every single red flag. It's like that one friend you have that you know shouldn't go back to their ex, but they still do, even though they see the red flags. Except those red flags are carnival flags, and they just go for it even without acknowledging it. And then later find out that it was a terrible idea, even though you tried to warn them so many times not to go. They still don't get the point. That's exactly what this character is. There are moments where her friend and even Judy is telling her not to go in there and not to do anything because it's you don't know what you're messing around with. She still goes in there, And this is where a lot of the artifacts in here I thought were creative and inventive. I really enjoyed every single one of them. If this movie was a little bit more beloved and a little bit more like The Conjuring 2, I think you would have had 1,500 other spin offs in this Conjuring universe with a lot of these artifacts in there. And I liked some of them and how they're used in this movie. Some of them are not used to their potential, and I kind of wish they used it a little bit more. But for what we are given, I do enjoy a majority of the artifacts that are used in this movie. But it was something that I didn't really notice the first time watching it that I do notice the second time. For a majority of the second act, nothing is happening. You just get shots of long hallways and people just walking around in the dark, in the silence, waiting for a loud bang to happen. And for the second act, you are left completely bored. There was a moment where I had to check how much time there was because nothing was happening, nothing was getting my attention. I was just bored shitless, and that's something that I didn't notice the first time that I noticed now. Boy, is the second act really boring. And then you have this little cute love story going on that I just did not care, involving one other character having a crush on the babysitter in this movie. I did think that he did serve a little bit of a comedic relief in this movie, and the moments that he is used for comedic effect, really nothing impressed me about it. But then he shows up at the very end and he's used in it very minimally. He's gone for a majority of the film, but yeah, then we also have the design of the werewolf in the film towards that third act of this film that I thought was fine. Didn't really stand out to me as impressive or anything like that. But overall, I do think they do get creative at times, and it's not a total dumpster fire that I thought it was going to be. It's not as bad as the first Annabelle film. It's not as good as Annabelle Creation. It's somewhere in the middle. It's enjoyable to pass the time. I think it's enjoyable if you just want to be on your phone and just not pay attention to a majority of it, because a majority of the second act really doesn't do it for me. The first act, there are some moments here and there that do get your attention, and there are some jump scares in the first act that I thought were fine and tolerable, but then it's just that second act where it's just dreadfully boring and you're just waiting for it to end. But those are my thoughts on Annabelle Comes Home. Let me know down in the comments if this is a movie that you hate or just one that you have a guilty pleasure kind of fun with. Go ahead and drop thoughts in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys for the next video.